Hi, welcome to another Falcon 4 BMS tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to be going over the non-computed pop-up attack, also known as a pop-up attack. And it's a special air-to-ground tactic in which you approach a target at low altitude while terrain masking usually, and then you pop up 3 to 4 miles away from the target and then dive bomb it. And this is a tactic that is used when the target is heavily defended and you can't approach it from high altitude, or if the target may or may not be heavily defended but you don't want to be detected while you're approaching the target. You would use a low altitude approach followed by a pop-up attack. So in this example, I'm just a lone singleton F-16 that is equipped with 2 Mark 84s, 2 tanks, and a centerline jammer. And I have an NOE route that's been planned onto the target area, and the target is Suncheon nuclear plant, and I'm going to be attacking it from the southeast. In this example, just in the training that I'm going to do, there's not going to be any air defenses on the target, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to attack the nuclear plant undefended. I'll show you guys how to do a pop-up attack, and then I'm going to put down an SA-6 and some man pads to guard it, and then I'll do the pop-up attack again, showing you guys how important it is to do a pop-up attack on a heavily defended target. So let's get in game. Okay, so we're now in game and we're ingressing towards the target, so let's go over what we're going to be doing here. So right now I'm flying the flight plan, I'm at low altitude, and the idea is at about 4 miles away from the target, I'm going to pitch to the left or right 30 degrees offset, 30 to 40 degrees offset. And then when I'm about 3 miles away from the target, I'm going to pop up 25 to 30 degrees, offset my wings left or right, so I can get eyes on the target and visually acquire it. Then I'm going to roll in and dive bomb it. And what bombing mode we're going to be in, or what master mode we're going to be in, is we're going to approach the ingress in nav mode. Then when we're at about 10 miles or so, we're going to switch to CCRP, and we're going to remain in CCRP the entire time until we see the target visually. Then we're going to switch to CCIP and then release bombs in that fashion, roll off, egress at low altitude. And the reason why we want to use CCRP is very important, okay? CCRP is going to tell us our current range to the target steer point. And it's also going to tell us our offset angle to the target steer from the gun cross. So that allows us to have an idea of how far we need to turn in order to align ourselves onto the target, and it'll also make sure that we're never going to overshoot the target or otherwise pop up too early. And if you're in CCIP mode, it won't show you the current range to the steer point on your HUD. It will tell you the current range to the pipper, the CCIP pipper, and that's no good. You always want to be aware of how far away you are from the target. Otherwise, you're basically going to be eyeballing it the entire way, which is okay if you're doing an impromptu pop-up attack that you didn't really plan, but you're always going to want to use CCRP if it's a planned pop-up attack and to really maximize your effectiveness and to maximize your security. Okay? Now, there's a few cockpit settings that you should probably set before you do this, okay? And normally you would do this on the ground. You don't want to do this in the air. You want to do this on the ground. But, you know, I'm already in the air just to speed things up. So, the first thing is, you're going to want to display your DED data on the HUD. So, this guy right here, the DED, we're going to want to display that on the HUD. And the reason for that is you always want to keep your heads up, okay? Or your head up. You don't want to be looking down in the cockpit looking for stuff. You don't even want to be glancing down at the DED. You want to keep your head up the entire time you're doing a pop-up attack because it can be really dangerous. You got to look for short-range air defenses, man pads, SAMs, direct ground fire. All sorts of threats are going to be possible. So when you're doing a pop-up attack, make sure that your DED data is on the HUD. This way you can very clearly see what steer point you're referencing, okay? The second thing, well, let's show you where that switch is before we go on to the next thing. So it's over here, it's on the right side of your joystick. This switch right here, DED data, okay? We want to flip that into the up position, and now you'll see that the DED is now displayed on the HUD, okay? Another switch that we want to turn on is radar altimeter, okay? This guy right here to the top right of DED data, we want to have that in the up position. And the reason for that is, by default, it's only going to show you your barometric altitude. So this number right here is not your altitude from the ground. This is your barometric altitude, okay? So it says we're at 1530 feet, which is totally incorrect. You can see that the ground is right below me by about 100 feet. And if that was correct, I would be way higher in the air. So what we want to do is we want to populate this box right here, which is your radar altitude. And then your aircraft will use a radar to ping the ground and get you your exact distance from the ground. So in order to turn on the radar altimeter, we have to put this switch into the up position. And now you'll see the radar altimeter box is now active, and we're 790 feet from the ground. That's our true altitude from the ground. Another thing you're going to want to do when you're doing a pop-up attack is you're going to want to make sure that you have a flare program ready to go. For me, I have program 2 as a flare program. Doesn't matter what program you set it for, but just make sure you have a flare program ready to go. This way when you pop up, you can defend yourself against man-pads. Lastly, when you do a pop-up attack, one of the most common noob mistakes is to not set an arming delay on your bombs. And if you use the default arming delay, your bombs are just going to be duds. They're basically going to hit the target, and that's going to be it. So make sure you go into the control area and set an arming delay. And for more information on that, you can watch my CCRP video, CCIP video. And also, when you do a pop-up attack, you want to make one pass and then haul ass. So that means you want to drop all your ordnance with one pulse. You don't want to be making multiple runs at the target. For every additional run you make at a target, you substantially increase your chance of being shot down. So that being said, I'm going to release in pairs. And since the target's pretty big, I'm going to leave the spacing of 175 feet. But if it was a small target like a depot or something, I would change it to about 50 feet. Okay. So I have 2 Mark 84s going to release in pairs. So now we're pretty much good to go. One other thing that I am going to go over is the missile step key, okay? So like I said, we're going to be switching from CCRP to CCIP in this attack. Now, most of you, if you wanted to do that, you would probably come to this MFD, you'd look down from your HUD, you'd look at your MFD, and you'd click this button and switch it to CCIP. Now, that's fine if you're at high altitude and you're doing it at leisure, but if you need to switch this instantly, you don't have time to mess around with looking down in your HUD. It's also going to, looking down from your HUD, it's also going to lower your situational awareness. That's no good. So there is a HOTAS function to switch from different bombing modes. Okay, so we don't need to use the MFDs. What we can do is we can use the missile step key, and the default binding for that on the keyboard is Shift / It's also your nose wheel steering key by default, okay? So if we press that, we can very quickly switch bombing modes. We can see I'm in CCRP, then it goes to CCIP, and then DTOS, okay? So make sure you have that bound, or you at least, keep it by default and you just know what the binding is. This way you can very quickly change that without having to look down and compromise your security. Okay, those are just a few tips as far as preparing your aircraft for a pop-up attack. Now we're going to ingress towards the target and do a pop-up attack. Okay, so we're now approaching the IP. We're about 5 miles from the IP, and then there's about 8 miles to the target from the IP. So let's very quickly go over the basics of what we're going to be doing again, okay? We're going to be approaching the target from the IP. When the range is about 4 miles, we're going to offset to the right or left. In this case, I'm going to offset to the right. And I'm then going to pitch up 25 degrees once I'm about 3 miles out, get angels, and then I'm going to tilt my wings to the left. This way I can look to my left, to my 10 o'clock, and get eyes on the target. Then I'm going to attack the target with CCIP and then egress south. Okay?
Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up.
Visually see the target from here. It's to my left. Now we're IP inbounds. 9 miles out.
Altitude, altitude.
5 miles. Pitch to the right. Go up. You can visually see the target to my 10 o'clock low. I'm going to hold it to about 4,000 feet and roll in. Switch to CCIP.
Bombs away.
Roll off to the south.
Chaff flare.
Okay, now let's try that again, except this time the enemy has an SA-6, a AAA battalion, and an infantry battalion guarding the nuclear plant.
Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude. Altitude, altitude. Altitude, altitude. Chaff flare. Chaff flare.
Bombs away.
Chaff flare. Chaff flare low. Chaff flare out.
So as we can see, those air defenses didn't have enough time to acquire me and engage me because I did a pop-up attack. And if I were to do that at altitude, I would have been probably killed. Watch. I'll go in and pop up right now. Just do an Immelman, gain some altitude, and you'll see that these air defenses will attack me. If I were to come in at this altitude, it would have been a bad day. SAM launch. Getting engaged by AAA.
Warning, 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 warning.
It's not hidden, it's just on the runway.
Contact target. Vulture 2.
Vulture 2, cleared HUD.
Cleared HUD.
Contact on the MiG.
Vulture 1, contact on the MiG.
1 is cleared HUD.
Cleared HUD.
Vulture, this is windmill 04. BDA, both MiGs confirmed destroyed.
Altitude. 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 Altitude.
Bad call, smokes inside. Bad 1-2 pop.
Altitude.
Bad 1-1's up. Roger, call the smokes 1 unit, it's south 2 units. Bad 1-1, contact smoke. 4-1's in hot.
Bad 2 ups. Bad 1-2's in.
Bad 1-1's in. Bad 1-1's contact target. Cleared up. 1-2-1 will take the eastern portion. 4-1's off. Bad 1.
Crack 3. Magnum 6 Golf 100.
Mr. Point 42 be weather problems.
Hammer status.
Hammer 3-1, left to steer 6.
Crack center 3 AAA. Infant mud.
Hammer 2, Hammer 3, there's AAA back in your position.
I don't see it.
That's right below us.
Drop hammer status.
Okay, Hammer 1 is going to target that underneath you. T supported.
Hammer status.
We're attacking AAA 15 west of Bull.
Copy, let me know where you're at so we can keep an eye on you. Thanks.
Right. Goeie Rikard zijn op mem. Zo waar niet om het aan.
Oké, als je bent met mijn mem. Laat hem er een mem.
Dan nogmaals beoordeeld en in kan.
Pilpel. Mots. Oké. Eerst een mem met. Dan בקרה, רואים נהדר.
עכשיו מתחתיך שניים.
בלבל סגור.
יש פה ירי קל של נ"מ. אפשר אני המטרה. אחד נכנס באוברטרנינג קל.